do you feel that you have a soul tie with someone? And do you want me to go through that before you head over with your relationship?
No, definitely go into yours first.
Thing?
No question.
Okay. So when you are suspect that maybe you have a tie with someone, you are obsessed by them.
So what happens if you've got a soul tie with somebody who you would really desperately like to get rid of? Okay.
Oh, well, that's where you need to come into contact with a spiritual person, maybe a person like a Christian person can do this, or a person like myself, I believe in God as well, but who can actually go back and release the contract. Now, if you're not obsessed by them, it doesn't have to be an obsession, but it can be where you're dominated by another person in one way or another, unless, of course, it's a soul tie through intimacy.
Okay.
So did you know that anyone you have been intimate with, not only have you got a soul tie with them, but everyone they've been intimate with?
No. Clean up all four.
It's not about STDs. It's okay. So you can't catch an STD through a soul tie.
You clarified that one. Oh, dear. Get out the wet wipes. Okay.
But yes, so soul ties are actually quite serious. And if you are... My name is Terri Messenger, and I am... Hey, and welcome to Terri Messenger's Genius Zone. And, you know, this is the place and the space where you are going to get your own free masterclass absolutely free.
Oh, right on time. Look at that. It's Edge Radio Australia. Time for the Genius Zone. We've got our local genius in here right now. You're looking very genius-like, you know.
Whatever a female genius looks like. You look like a bit of a genius too, in a wizardry type way.
As I said it, I had a moment of, hang on. I think of genius. I think of Einstein. Okay, you definitely haven't got the hair.
Please
definitely haven't
don't
got
tell
that
me
look.
I look like
no,
him.
No, you're okay. You are looking fabulous. Okay, so I take back that whole genius thing. Great to see you, though. Really ready for a great show. And with that, are you ready to dive in with today's subject, which is, it's written there in the title. So it's breaking soul ties and awakening your leadership. Big call. Look at you go.
Interesting. Now, people might just get a bit confused here. Did you get confused about the title, seeing that we did soul contracts last week?
When I saw it, I thought, have I messed something up here? But no, I just checked.
Yeah, so soul contracts and soul ties. So soul ties is moving along on the next spectrum of relationships.
Okay.
And what it means to be caught up in these codependent relationships, and of course with the energy of carrying other people's stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm an expert at that. I tell you right now, I could have a whole carousel full of it, other people's stuff. Really good.
I'm just picturing you walking around with this shopping trolley.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, naming all the people inside the shopping. Oh, that's this person, that's Veronica and Dallas, and this is Rob and I shouldn't say names in case they actually exist.
These could be accurate names. You never know.
But no, soul ties, seriously. Really an interesting topic.
Okay.
And another one that came along down the track when I was studying neuro-linguistic programming and recognizing that when I was taking people back and releasing them, most people have got trauma and they've got things that they're struggling with as a result of relationships.
No. Jeez.
So, yeah.
I just had a relationship conversation earlier today. What's going on, honestly? Can't we get away from this?
Was it on radio?
It was not on radio.
So you can talk about it?
I can. It was very it was private. So why not? Let's throw it out on the radio. Well, we are sitting in the slightly darker room today. I didn't turn the big lights on. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did just then.
I thought I'd make it dark.
But you're doing everything here, Aaron.
Yeah, well, no, I want to be dark and mysterious today. Okay? Okay, that could just be covering up the fact that I forgot to hit the switch. But, you know, I'm feeling all right about it.
I like it.
Okay, now let's talk about this. So with your relationships here, where do you want to take this? Where, actually, before we even go any further, it's great to see people jumping online already. Wonderful to see that. Of course, if you've got any questions or any comments, do not be shy. We are on all sorts of platforms, and some of them we'll see right now, some we'll see in the future. So definitely get your comments forward, and we'll go with that. All righty.
And of course, you've got them all up close and personal there.
I have.
We will answer your questions. Do you feel that you have a soul tie with someone? And do you want me to go through that before you head over with your relationship?
No, definitely go on yours first.
Thing?
No question.
Okay. So when you are suspect that maybe you have a tie with someone, you are obsessed by them. Now, if you're not obsessed by them, it doesn't have to be an obsession, but it can be where you're dominated by another person in one way or another, unless of course, it's a soul tie through intimacy.
Okay.
So did you know that anyone you have been intimate with, not only have you got a soul tie with them, but everyone they've been intimate with?
No. Clean
Now,
up all four.
It's not about STDs. It's okay. So you can't catch an STD through a soul tie.
Glad you clarified that one. Oh, dear.
But
Get out the wet wipes. Okay.
But yes, so soul ties are actually quite serious. And if you are really in control, like somebody has control of you in the way that you're obsessed by them and you've given them control. You feel like you've given over control. You might be obsessed by them. You may have picked up a lot of their mannerisms. It may be even around, I was looking at this today, Stockholm Syndrome.
Oh.
That's a big one, right?
Oh, look, I've just seen the first comment come up here, and this is just magic. A mental STD, maybe, with a bit of a laughter.
I love that.
Spot on. Thank you for that.
that.
Inferno Insomnia. That is a great comment. Love
Especially for radio.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So, the fact is, obviously, we'll have some questions here a bit later. And, I'm sure that the questions I've asked my community, I've said to the community, come on in with your questions,
right.
And they're probably going to be more around, well, what do I do about it?
Sure.
What can I do about a soul tie that I no longer want? Some people might be resistant also on the other side of the coin if they're still in love with that person.
Right.
And, they think of it as, well, maybe I want to keep that soul tie.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Even if the other person doesn't want to. But it is a free will. Like we talked about free will as well last week.
Okay, I can understand when someone... Like, you can still love someone. Like, I've got people in my past who I love very much, but I'm certainly not in love with them. It's quite a massive distinction, right? Like, I care about them. I hope that life goes well for them.
Yeah.
I never want them back in my life in any way, shape, or form. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Well, apart from, like at friendship level, I guess, I suppose would be okay if that was viable.
Yeah.
But, the distinction between, I guess that's that intimacy switch, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because a big part of releasing a soul tie is forgiveness.
Okay.
So forgiveness means that if somebody has, this goes for, those elements in your life. If you've had a traumatic time in your life with somebody else, that is a soul tie. And it's kind of almost like a soul contract as well. Only a soul tie is you and another person.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter whether they're still on the earth or they're not. But so it gets a little bit woo-woo. But when we go back, now soul ties also, Mum will be very happy to hear this, it's very much relative to the Bible. So they call it ungodly soul ties.
Right.
And I was listening to something a little bit practical about it, which is clear your phone. So if you've got people from your past and you want to totally get rid of some of the energy around it, clear your phone, like decluttering your house. Get rid of them out of your phone, like delete their contact, delete their name. And I was thinking, gee, I've got a lot to do later on today.
Case, like buy a new phone and smash the hell out of that last one because, that's a good point. Honestly, we don't clean up very often. And actually, I've looked at my phone and I did replace my phone a few months ago because I broke the other one. But, how some of them come over, from the card or whatever. And I was looking and thinking, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't been in my life for 10 years.
Yeah.
Why are you still popping up my phone?
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
It's I don't know, way of cleansing, I guess. Right?
Yeah. So if you've got anyone in your life who you feel angry with, who you feel, and I'm sure we all have, let's face it, there's always going to be someone. If we don't feel angry, we might feel a heightened sense of an energy, a wrong, poor energy.
A frustration,
about
perhaps?
if they walked in the room, you might, if it affects you, if it causes you to tense up, if it causes you to feel that, something that is less than the frequency of harmony, and they've got that over you, that is also a soul tie.
Oh, okay. So what happens if you've got a soul tie with somebody who you would really desperately like to get rid of? Okay.
Oh, well, that's where you need to come into contact with a spiritual person. Maybe a person like a Christian person can do this, or a person like myself, I believe in God as well, but who can actually go back and release the contract. So they're like these, these soul wounds. And if you can imagine them, they're like these spikes or ropes that are inside there. And we get them to picture it. So you're visually imagining through your spirit.
Sure.
Because did you know your spirit is different to your soul?
Okay. No. I always think they're one and the same.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I agree.
Is there razor wire up? What's going on?
Yeah, I know. I think there's a question about it from memory. So maybe we'll go through that on the question. However, you can do this yourself as well. You can set an intention, because everything's intentional, right? So you can bring that person up in the eye of your mind.
Okay.
You can go through a process where you look at everything that you energetically feel about that person. So whether it be that it's that you still love them but you don't want to, or you feel the opposite and you don't want to, you just write everything down. So you get it all down on paper.
Okay.
Once it's down on paper, you then have to forgive them. You have to go through this forgiveness. But in order to go through a forgiveness, you've got to go through the learning process. And this is a very powerful thing. So if you look at what was the gift? What was the gift between that person and yourself, and them having that over you and having that impact on your life? Because I'm sure, Aaron, you could think of what you have been able, and the gift may not be about you. Sorry to say this, but quite often a lot of our spiritual soul purpose, elements of life are much bigger than ourselves.
I thoroughly agree with it.
So we have to get out of the way of our own self. So if we are caught up in tension, we hate them, we don't know how we're going to forgive them, we really need to zoom out. And zoom out and look at, well, what is the gift? What have I got out of this? Like, how many times has a person had a situation and then, maybe 6 months later, they've met the love of their life, or they've won the lottery, just saying, just something along those lines.
Two things would be very handy. Yes,
yeah.
I'm down for both of those.
You're down for both of those?
Yeah, it's great.
Good on you. And, so as a result of this and this happening, it wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened unless this and this has happened.
I actually agree with that. And I, and some points that I'll be honest, I would definitely struggle with. Like people have done me wrong, have actually some people, and I'm thinking one specific person who's done me wrong big time, in some respects did me a favor, because they opened up another part of my personality. They changed me for good, right? And made me look far more, step away from myself and kind of look at the big picture a lot more, which without them in my life, that wouldn't have happened. Right? Bloody really horrible lesson to learn that way. Like, surely there was an easier way, right? But at the same time, I don't see, I see the positives in it. I think, you meet everybody for a reason. Some people for really positive reasons, some people for absolutely horrible ones.
Yes.
And if you don't take this is something I've learned over, because I didn't think this before, But yeah, I've learned now that I need to take something positive away from it. I've got to find there is a reason why that relationship or it could just be, look, it could be a friendship or relationships at all different levels, right? I think that's, it's important to recognize that that a positive has come out of it.
Yeah. And without any negativity, we really couldn't find the clarity of our inspiration.
So true.
If we just live mediocre, nothing good, nothing bad, mind you, that's pretty impossible to happen. We don't have that opportunity to get real clarity about what we truly want. So
I'm going to throw a side note on this one. Okay, I'm going to have a bit of a bitch about things. It's because I've been speaking to some friends, a particular friend recently about what are they called? Medication for depression.
Antidepressants.
Thank you.
SSRIs or whatever.
Yeah, those horrible things.
Yeah.
This particular bloke was telling me, he's going, it's great because it stopped my depression, right? Okay, but he goes, I feel nothing. I don't feel any lows. I don't feel any highs. Now, to me, mate, you're dying. Like I said to him, like, to be frank, I said, please, just can you wean yourself rather often? Probably not weed yourself off. Maybe that's that could be another method. I don't know. Each their own, whatever works for you, right? But I asked him to say, look, just don't be stupid and just stop taking them. But really consider it, just backing it off and slowly getting them out of your system, because I understand you don't want to be depressed. I totally get that. Okay, this guy's a great fella. Right?
Yeah.
But I just watched him disappear.
Right.
And okay, he's not depressed anymore, but he's not happy anymore. He's just.
So you know what they call that? Apathy. Oh. And apathy is really, and I don't know who you're talking about, but from what you're actually saying, he's such a great guy. I guarantee he's not apathetic by nature.
No, not at all.
But apathy is the opposite to love, because it's just indifferent. There's no spark, there's no passion.
And I can't live existing. Personally, I cannot live without spark. I cannot live without passion. I've got to have it, right? Like whatever level it happens to be. Whatever it happens to be that I'm involved with, I have to have passion for it. Something has to, give me a buzz.
Yeah.
And I thought he was very similar in that respect. In fact, quite frankly, I thought he had it together a little bit more. He's very, very good at being empathetic, and I've known him for a very long time. Just a great human being. And because of horrible stuff that he's gone through, right?
Yeah.
He's a male victim of domestic violence. Okay?
Right. Okay? Yep.
And sustained domestic violence over many years. It literally beaten his personality down. So when the relationship ended, he went into the doctor. The doctor's, you need these, right?
Of course.
Let's talk about the problems. No. Here's a big bunch of pills that'll fix you. And
he lost himself.
He's gone.
Oh,
and
that's sad.
I'd love to say he'll come back.
Yeah.
He has to get off that. You know what?
He wants to feel numb, though. I mean, see, this is the reason. Did you know that this was one of the big reasons that teenagers cut themselves?
Yeah.
Because they do get numb, or they're in so much pain by cutting themselves, it takes away their feeling of their pain that is mental, emotional. So they put physical pain into themselves to dull it. And so medication, as you just said, is actually making him very, him or her, apathetic, numb, and it's not so comfortable. I mean, it just means there's no fire in your belly.
But life needs a fire in your belly, right? So you've got to have, you can't have a front without a back. You can't have a top without a bottom, right? So you can't have happiness without sadness. And
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want anyone living in sadness, okay? Your depression is a horrible thing. Been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Right?
You got the
and I'm telling you right now, it's not a great place to be. And people self-medicate, people do all sorts of silly things, right?
Yep.
Because you try and do what you can with what you've got.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
In too many cases, the doctor says, hey, because, the doctor gets kickback. It's a financial incentive. He's financially or she's financially incentivized to give you the drug. So this is wrong. And this is not the first friend I've seen go down this path.
Yeah.
it's just happening too often now.
It is, yes. Yeah? Can I give a really strange illustration on a dog?
Terri, I know you can be strange, so you go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually my dog, and it's my dog Cora. Okay. And if people watch my stories, this time last year I was walking her every single day. Okay. And circumstances changed, but she wasn't always my dog. She was my daughter's dog. Right. She brought her home, and I said, no, we're not having any animals. But I touched this dog and I literally felt a soul tie with her.
Oh, wow.
So there was this connection. Gotcha. Now, she's a rescue dog.
Right.
So she has a lot of anxiety. Right. And the anxiety is so high that she gets into fight and flight.
Right.
So if she sees other dogs, she'll attack. Okay. And it's because she's anxious. But she's not a harmful dog. She's a black dog. So sometimes people get a little bit, concerned.
Attack, I mean, what does she do?
She just runs, she leaps, because she's a big girl, know, so she kind of just jumps and leaps.
Intimidates people.
And then we've got to kind of harness her and hold her back.
Right.
But she's got a gorgeous personality. People ended up calling her my NLP dog, because she'd sit into my sessions, and she did change. She changed toward humans, so she became really, really comfortable around other humans.
That's cool.
So it was just dogs. But here's this. Just in the last 7 days, 7 days, fresh as that, she's been put on, wait for it, Aaron, antidepressant medication.
Oh.
And you know what? She's numb. She's lost a spark. She's now just a walking zombie. And I just don't even know. I don't know whether I can face up to seeing her. Now, if my daughter watches this, she might get upset. But believe you me, this is just a fact of life. And I know that she was very apprehensive. She had to make that tough call because obviously it was affecting and impacting the quality of life for her and other people.
I get that.
But I can see how I'm afraid to see her, because I don't want to see that spark that that's now suddenly disappeared. So it does happen.
It does
definitely
happen, absolutely. And with a dog, I mean, I can kind of understand that. Let's face it. Yeah, you get dogs who find themselves and they bond themselves to you, which is a really, really good thing.
Yep.
But I mean, and I want, especially with a dog, when you walk into the room, you want them to bound and be happy.
Oh, absolutely. And like a human, even more so with humans, because let's face it, if a human is just, if they're not alive, you've got to come to life. You need contrast. Everybody wants to grow. I mean, I want to grow. I think you do as well, Aaron.
No doubt about it. Yep.
But, we wouldn't be growing unless we had contrast.
Okay.
So without the contrast, we are in a situation of apathy. We're not going forward. We're not going back. We're just kind of sitting in one spot. Okay. And, so we need that. And, good times breeds weak people.
It's so true. And we went through a very, very long period of quite frankly, good times. And my word, do we have a weak generation or two floating around right now, and and we are going to pay the price for it. Well, we are right now paying the price for it.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly agree on that. And there's very few good, strong men and women who are actually standing up to things now. It's not the way it used to be.
So when I heard Anthony Robbins say this, that good times breed weak people.
Yeah.
Weak people breed bad times, and bad times breeds good people. That then moves on to having a better life. So it's quite interesting how it goes.
I'll say something controversial about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've just seen an election in the US, which might actually be a very good example of this.
Oh, yes.
When you've seen very weak people, I mean, obviously Biden and Kamala, just horribly weak people. I mean, they're just puppets.
I agree.
They're just puppets, right?
Yeah.
But yes, and whether you like Trump or hate Trump, as I've always said, just judge the man on his actions, not his words.
Passion. You can't take away his passion.
You can't.
And that, let's face it, is a great business person.
Exactly.
And a great business person is more likely to be able to talk a country out of going to war than someone that's a little bit like, wishy-washy.
Oh, absolutely. Like sometimes you need diplomacy, and other times you really need a threat. Sometimes you got to slam your fist down on the desk, right?
Absolutely.
So there are times for everything. shall we jump into the questions?
Let's do that.
Just because of the lack of eyesight, well, what I've done is I've got it on the phone today, so we'll see how we go. This one comes from Lena in Sydney in very big writing. Thank you for that. I'm a spiritual person and have heard a lot about breaking soul ties. My healer says I'm not just connected to the people I've been intimate with, but also their past partners, something you said before. Is this true? And how can I truly set myself free from these ties? This will be interesting.
Okay, so isn't that interesting that we have touched on that? And this is what I'm led to believe. I believe that we are definitely connected that way because we've given something sacred of ourselves. You know, we've let someone enter into, you know, you've both come into that real intimacy where, you know, it's you know, becomes non-sacred if you're just abusing it. And the fact is that yes, you can become very slimed. You can become, you're carrying that person's energy. I mean, if we're in the same room, they say you are the sum of the people, you know, the 5 people that you hang around with, you know, so be careful who you're hanging around with, right?
That is one of the greatest lessons I have ever learned. Didn't know that. And, you know, and I hung around the wrong people, right? Okay. And I attracted very badly before. I changed a couple of fundamental things about the way, not who I am, but how I go about things. And wow, does it change the people that you bring into your life? It's just night and day. And I thoroughly agree with that. I mean, I have had a real history of I'm the greatest magnet of leeches known to man, right? I really have been, because you know, when you're quite a giving person, you tend to bring that in, right? So I didn't have to change. But you're
called to pull them off and empower them, Aaron.
Oh, look at you. But I think with that, I didn't change. Like I still am a person who loves to give. I'm still a person who loves to encourage others to do others, to build themselves and all of that, right? But I kind of just changed a few little minor things about the way I went about it. And it has changed a lot. So, yeah, it's, I can't tell you how bad
I like that because I'm picturing you, even if you don't know on a physical kind of essence that you're doing this, I'm picturing your spirit, and your spirit is obviously your higher self, right? Connected with the, you know, above power, actually surrounding yourself in golden light so that when you are in that space of other people who are leeching onto you, and I'll get to answering Lena's question, you, like I was saying before, if you can look at the gift of what that person's given you, and as far as releasing yourself, yes, you absolutely can. You can do this if you're a Christian through God. And if you are a person who perhaps doesn't believe in God, you can go back, look at the gift, you can do the learning, and you can literally pull those soul ties out of your body, so that if you are imagining it, because your subconscious mind, remember, doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So when you're pulling them out, you can imagine that as you're pulling them out, you can even think of it as one long soul tie that belonged to that one person, that belonged to all the others. Or it could be many soul ties where you're just doing that. But I would say make it really intentional and, you know, bring them out of your body and feel a sense that you are actually cleansing yourself. And then, you know, allow yourself to meditate on it, and allow yourself to imagine this golden light cascading, you know, down the top of your head, the crown of your head, moving through every muscle cell of your body and just cleaning and purifying you.
Okay. I don't. The songs coming to my mind, "Don't Bring Me Down."
And
it's a very, very true thing. It's sometimes people who are leeches of life, right? They are attracted to people that bring light. And this is something that you've got to learn. I mean, I'm certainly no expert. I'm learning on the go, like all of us, right? We're just running with these things. But I think maybe learn to. This is what I got wrong. I didn't learn to recognize it until way too late in life, as far as I'm concerned, right? So I kept letting it happen. So eventually, when you stop letting it happen, you recognize it. You kind of go, I can head this off at the pass. right? Or this doesn't serve me anymore, or this is bringing me down, right? So you can actually put the brakes on it. I mean, I think this is really interesting because I struggle a little bit on the woohoo side. It's like woohoo, oh yeah, you kind of attached to their former partners. Well, yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's energetically, that is.
Yeah.
It's only energetically. And, I think that's more from a Christian perspective as well, so that you're really clearing yourself. You're clearing yourself of any bad energy, because where does our energy come from anyways? For all we know, we could be like, I know my mother's, she's got that gift of empathy,
right?
And I have as well.
Sure.
So that means that she can be in a room. This is how strong her gift is.
Right.
She can be in a room and suddenly get a headache. She's not a headache person either.
Right.
And that comes as a result. Somebody else has got a headache in the room.
And your mum helping out.
I know, right?
The walking, talking bit of Panadol right there.
Yeah.
Hey?
But, you could quite easily, but this is what I mean. There's probably a lot of other people who are the same. And you could be, have you ever gone somewhere and you've been feeling quite okay and you leave feeling like rubbish? You feel crap, but maybe nothing specifically happened that was tangible, but that was energy. That was energetically something you picked up, and it didn't actually belong to you.
When you walk into a room that has really negative energy, we'll talk about, the vibe and whatever, but it brings you down. And like sometimes, look, I'm my profession, I'm an entertainer, right? So if I go into a room, I will deliberately try and lift the energy in the room.
Yeah, and you do.
Oh, thank you. But like it's quite exhausting, right?
Is it?
It's very exhausting.
I wouldn't. Oh, you mean it's probably? Do you mean that it's exhausting, like when the energy is very low?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah,
If you walk into a great circumstance and the energy is fantastic, that's great. When you walk into a place where the energy is quite low and you feel an obligation to lift it, right? What happens is, I'm not going to speak for myself, but it's not true. A lot of people who are in the entertainment game, we sort of suffer the same thing, but. It's
interesting.
You go, and then basically the moment it's all over, you just drop
in a heap,
completely run out of energy, right? So you've just exhausted yourself trying to bring that up.
Yes,
so
it's almost like your soul. That's a soul contract, right? Where your soul has got this conviction that you are the rescuer. In that sense, right? Yeah. So you're the rescuer. It's on you. It's your responsibility. Yeah. I totally get that, Aaron. You know that my life is resembling that right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that it is my responsibility to make sure that everything and everyone around me is A-okay.
Well, it's a personality type, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Where you do, in my case, it's got to come in on the white horse. But it is, but you feel, and the words are bang on. Responsibility to rescue R&R right there. I mean, it's not a case of, oh, look, I should do it. No. You feel compelled. You really feel compelled.
Yeah. That's like a conviction. Okay. But it is part of your soul purpose. Right. But you need to know it, because if you don't know it, you're going to kind of end up in that element where you keep falling into that trap. Okay. But by knowing it, it means that, oh, hang on a minute. Call it for what it is, bring it out into the light, because when you understand this is why I'm feeling this way.
Yep.
And that's where you have to set some boundaries, I reckon. What do you reckon? I'm talking to myself here.
Yeah.
Talk to myself. Set some boundaries, girl.
You know what? That's probably why I like Donald Trump so much, because that man sets boundaries. He builds a wall. Okay. And I'm lousy at doing that. So I look at that and go, oh, yeah, that'd be helpful. I hope that's helped, Lena, because looking at your question, I keep sort of glancing down at it, because it's just, look, I can resonate with that 1,000%. And I think that I think you bang on. The forgiveness is a big thing. When people have done you wrong, to truly let go, you have to go, right, okay, I understand why you did this. The problem wasn't me, and that's not taking responsibility. You own your part. You got to own your part of whatever.
Yes.
Okay. That you've got to understand that this is something that's probably come from the other person's past. Some part of experience has made them, what they are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're talking about a former partner, like the ones who cheat on you are normally the ones who've been cheated on.
Yeah, yes,
or
hurting people hurt people.
Spot on, absolutely.
And the same with abuse.
It goes over and
if
over
a
again.
person's grown up with abuse, quite often it'll either go one way or the other. They'll go in the polar opposite direction and do something about it, or steer clear of it, or they'll end up doing that as well.
That's right.
Because that's that's their normality. Becomes their normal behavior.
So true. I mean, I was getting used the cheating bit as an example, but I know people who are just habitual cheaters, and you think, why? Like, why? And then you go, hang on, well, okay, your parents were cheaters.
Right.
You've learnt this, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're a cheater or a beater, like the fact of the matter is they've learnt that disgusting behaviour.
Yes.
From
Yeah,
from
they
before.
say that a parent's dysfunction is a child's normal.
Yeah, no, I can totally believe that. The government departments and that, they lay a stat on it. They believe that 30% of abusers go on to abuse.
Right.
I don't actually believe that's accurate. I think that it's a bit of funny figures.
Yeah.
But I would sort of say that there is obviously a percentage that go and do that.
Yeah.
I think that if people actually deal with their own maturity, they kind of look at what they've seen. Like, okay, I look at what I saw growing up, and I'm not going to go my parents by any stretch, okay? But I'll go, okay, I didn't like that bit, so I don't want to do that bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of work
which is
way.
great.
Yeah. That's how I sort of roll out on it. But you can't help also learn behaviour. Learn behaviour is learn behaviour. You've seen it, you become that. So,
and then sometimes it can be subconscious. Like, because I'm in the subconscious game, I find myself going, oh, that's my dad, or oh, that's my mum. And then, but at least, I can acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've got great traits, but like everybody, they've got their setbacks as well.
Everybody.
And, you just go, I don't want to do that. No. I just don't want to go down that same road and make those, there might be small mistakes, but, you want to be able to do something about it. That, in fact, soul ties are quite often between parents and their kids as well.
Oh, really?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if it is either where there is that codependent or there is the opposite. So, there's this pain, hurt. So it does cause some human curiosity.
Yeah, okay.
Some human fascination, and then that's where the whole fantasy, and then that becomes an obsession. Wow. That was a big one.
Oh, jeez.
We might have to leave that one alone.
Down for that. Hey? All right, well, we'll jump to our next question. I really hope we helped out, Lena, because it's just important to have these conversations, right?
Absolutely.
Because at whatever level, these subjects have got to resonate with everybody. We've all got experiences. We've all got, whether it be a parent, whether it be a former relationship, a friendship, it could be an intimate relationship, whatever. Like, let's face it, we've all, I jokingly say, but I kind of mean it, I've got more baggage than Heathrow, right? Okay? I mean it, like, geez. And I would be very happy to just to have the hand like.
Is that why I take my biggest bag even when I'm going away for 2 days? It's like I can't fit everything in there.
Yes, in a word, right? But we're all work in progress, and the more we talk about things, right? This is the big thing. Sorry to just jump sideways for a bit. Last week I went to an event for International Men's Day, right? Walked away really angry, to be absolutely honest with you.
Good on you. With a fire in your belly?
Total fire in my belly.
With the grrr?
With the grrr going on. Because, you know what? Okay, it was supposed to be this important day where men got to talk, and we talk about what was going on, yada, yada. And I thought there was going to be a question and answer. And I really thought it was going to be a powerful, important thing to do. I met a couple of amazing people, but only because I went out of my way to go, I heard what you've got to say. I'm going to go and seek you out. Otherwise, the event itself, pathetic. All it was patting each other on the back and just virtue signaling 101, right? It was just really annoyed me. So what I'm kind of where I'm going on this is, okay, International Men's Day, which was just like barely mentioned on the mainstream media. No one really talked about it. It shared the day. I mean, this is how important International Men's Day was, right? It shared the day with International Toilet Day. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, honestly, if you...
Oh, no, and you noticed.
Oh, I noticed.
You noticed.
I noticed, yeah.
You noticed.
So,
but, you're really fired up on this because this is this is what you see. So you're going to notice it. So I don't like to use the word expert because Ian's got a theory about experts.
Right.
Something about they get under pressure. Something happens anyway. I can't remember what he says. But you do become the ambassador.
You do.
You are.
Look, to me, it was an important thing just to basically, I wanted to go there and for men to talk, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of my point. What we're doing here, male, female, whoever.
Were they too fluffy or something? Were they not getting down into the truth and really allowing them to speak? Because, the biggest thing here, right, is that if you're going to be able to bring people out and allow them to share, you've got to be able to prepare to share and, bring it, because otherwise you're just covering it. You're covering it up and you're keeping it in the darkness.
I agree.
And, that's to me is woo-woo.
Well, this is just too much of ticking boxes and saying, look what we did, aren't we good? They had 4 men, 1 MC and 3 speakers. One speaker was amazing, resonated with him, a gentleman in his 70s who he really understood masculinity, right? Really understood the core of it, the gentle side of it, right? Okay. The other 2 were in their 20s, and they were, and I'm going to get hate for this, but I'm going to lay it out there. Both didn't
know S from C.
Oh my God! Both of them came from single mother households. I'm sorry, if you want to teach masculinity, that's not the place to learn masculinity. I'm sorry, right? Not positive or any negativity or whatever, any kind of masculinity. You're not going to learn it when you go, okay? And you've got only mum at home. And you go to school and there's no male teachers. You've got no men in your life except for maybe your sporting coaches. So quite frankly, I found them that everything I don't want to know about masculinity. Right.
So that really triggered you, which is in a good way.
Yeah. Well,
because it's a good way that represents your sole purpose.
It fires me.
See, this is it.
To teach, like I can teach. To have the conversations with people that are the real conversations, the ones that we really should be talking about, right? Like, the genuine masculinity. What's so good about masculinity? Like the wonderful things that we do as men. So it really upset me. But anyway,
but men have a masculine and feminine, of course we do, as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I've got a meditation on it actually, where it's feminine and masculine, and it's the left and the right side of the brain, and one's the creator and the other one's the logic. And then, when you kind of can bring them together as one, that's kind of synchrony. Not to say that we can never do that, because perfection just doesn't exist in our world. But I've got a question for you. I know you've got the next question coming, but what would you suggest to a young male growing up that is sort of being raised by a single mum? Maybe it wasn't her fault, though.
Oh, man, absolutely.
So what would you say
it's not a criticism. It's not a criticism. Okay, I know it comes off as one. If you look at all the stats, right, okay, and I'm sorry, this is just facts, okay? The stats show it very, very clearly. But a child raised by a single mum, okay, has disadvantaged left, right, and centre, okay?
And same with vice versa. They need their mum and dad.
But the silly thing is, statistically, you have the same level of chance of success in life if you're raised by a 2-parent family or a single dad.
Wow.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about that?
I can also tell you that if you're raised by a single mum, you are, now it depends on the stat, because there's several different stats on this.
Yep.
But you are typically 27 times more likely to end up in prison.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's a massive number of that you might go into drugs or alcohol, all that kind of thing. Now, this is not a criticism of women, right? Okay, this is a criticism of the system and all of this sort of thing. And then some women deserve to be, hauled through the coals on this, or coals rather. But okay, it is a fact. This is the problem. In this sort of world, it is not too much masculinity that's the problem. It's too little. Right?
Yeah.
It's too little. So when you're raising someone and they only got mum at home and only got women at school and all that. So I understand for women who are in a situation where they don't have any other option. Right?
Yeah.
Totally get that. So here's how you fix it. Okay. It's pretty simple.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Get involved with sporting teams. Get involved with organise now, if your kid's not particularly sporty, no worries. Maybe they're into gaming, okay? Then get them involved with a bunch of blokes, okay? Men need men, women need women.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yep.
It's just okay. Women and men, when we work together, we are the perfect pair. We can get
that's what God created, isn't
Spot
it?
on.
You know, Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Not Adam and Phil.
That's right. I thought you were going Adam and Steve.
Even I just say something else.
The problem is you sit here and I have this conversation all the time. The problem is if you are trying to instill positive role models, male role models in society, you're trying to talk to people about this, you're attacked as being, oh my God, he's a misogynist, he hates women. By the way, misogyny means you hate, right? It doesn't mean you disagree with women, all right?
Right.
Okay, it means it's a very specific thing. So much like all these other words that have been stolen and turned into buzzwords. So no, it is about keeping people accountable for their actions, whatever their gender happens to be, right? Full stop. And when we're talking about men and boys, okay, boys need men in their lives to become to actually become men. Right?
Yes.
And I saw there's these two young blokes in their 20s, and the problems that they were having was, as I say, a lack of masculinity in their lives. And one of them was a elite sportsman. I won't tell you who it was. A very elite sportsman here in WA, right?
Yep.
And he and I had a conversation. We went outside and walked into the car, and he and I had a chat as we're going. And man, it kind of almost broke my heart. How can you be an elite sportsman in a very, very, very blokey sport?
Yeah.
Okay, all of that kind of thing, and be so fundamentally weak, right?
Yep.
And in a position that you're in, and you're a role model, and you're a leader, and all that sort of thing, and you're a very weak person. Yeah, it upsets me. Right?
Yeah,
and that's something that he can improve in himself. Right. It's
what you stand for, Aaron.
Oh, man.
And this is what the awakened leader is all about. It's about going back to what really flicks your switch in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
And the whole grr, which I've talked about on this show, meaning grr, and that the G is gold, recognizing and releasing. So, and then revolutionizing. So the revolutionizing is where you do something about it. Yeah. But just to clarify, can I just clarify something? Sure. So let's just say you've got single mums and some of them can't help it.
Yeah.
They're in that situation. So if they are, if they've still got the dad around, the dad is a, normal person, everything else, and she allows them to have that interaction. So there's this kind of whole custody share. Does that make a difference?
Allows.
Okay.
Now, two people make a baby, okay? Yeah. Two people make a baby. Okay, not one.
It shouldn't be allowed, but you know what I mean.
And I don't mean to have a go at you, but that's kind of the psyche that's built into us here, right?
Yes.
Okay? That child, right, is as much the dad as it is the mum.
Absolutely.
So the fact that one person takes power and control of that situation is a negative thing in the first place.
It is. Right? I agree.
Right?
I agree.
The whole reason that most men, 84.1% of men who go through the family court, are effectively erased from their children's lives, the good ones, the lucky ones who get every second fortnight. Do you know where they get every second fortnight?
Yep. Nope. Because the judge favours the woman because she's a woman, right?
Well, I know. I'll tell you right now. It's about money.
Oh, it comes back to money.
It comes down to money. 109 nights a year. So by the time you take the 104 nights for the weekends, plus Easter, plus Christmas, a couple of days here for those sort of things, birthdays.
Yep.
Okay, 109 nights. That is the cutoff figure for the financial gain.
Wow.
And I find it disgusting that children are being kept from their fathers.
It is.
For a financial gain. That is disgusting.
It is.
It is wrong.
But what if there is a mutually 50-50 because both allowed that? And it was completely done the proper way because it shouldn't be a thing anyway. Why would you second guess, your
the Australian Labor Party. The Australian Labor Party did.
Yeah, look, I fully understand, but it should be definitely, I don't like to use the word should because then we're shooting all over ourselves.
Sure.
But, really, why is it even a question? If two people stuff up and they can't get their acts together in the marriage. I said, when I did NLP, I made an intentional statement and that was, I refuse to drag my kids through the mud, and
Awesome.
I will have the most dignified divorce if that's what it's going to take. But why, deprive my kids of their father? Why would the father want to deprive their kids of the mother? Unless they were an axe serial murderer or something.
Okay, which is they're not. And then that kind of that argument is so often made, and it's just null and void and ridiculous in most of the cases. My fundamental thing on this is, right, why would you teach your child to hate half of its DNA?
Yeah.
Why would you teach someone that you apparently love, that half of them, okay, that other chromosome that got together and made you, right, why would you teach them that part of you, part of that beautiful child is evil or faulty or this or that?
That's their deficit. Probably soul tied to something that came back generations and generations ago that they don't even recognize.
But it's not. It's only been happening.
Kids grow up though, Aaron. See, that's the thing. Kids grow up, but one day it just takes one thing to happen, and then they go. Somebody asks them the right question. Like, how many kids have I sat in a room with, or even adults for that fact? And they're broken because they were not given the opportunity to be with the other parent, and they were even weaponized so that the other parent was the villain. So, when you start asking the questions like, well, how do you know that? And what makes you so sure of it? And, in NLP, everything's about perception.
Sure.
So if they've had the other parent, whoever that may be, telling stories, then especially if the child is young.
Called brainwashing.
Yeah.
It's called gaslighting.
Gaslighting and brainwashing.
Yeah.
But what is damaging, apart from the fact that that's what's happening, is that they're painting a picture on the inside of their brain, and they're actually believing it to be true. But just makes somebody to come along and ask them the right question.
After so many years of damage, the problem is just so many years of damage. Okay, I could actually sprout many names here, but I'll give two examples. Okay, I know a friend who was 32 before he met his dad. Right, was told he was a monster, this, that, all the horrible stuff. They should be terrified of him. 32 years old, found out that everything was a lie. Everything was a lie. Mum just basically was down the road sleeping with the other fella and needed a way out. And this was her best way out. So that's how that happened, right? 32 years old. And the poor fella, all of that. So that man lost his child for 32 years.
Yeah.
Didn't have a child. He's now got a fully grown adult. I'll take it to a woman that I know, and I've mentioned her before because it just breaks my heart. This woman who, I would say she'd be around 60, right? Unbelievable, fantastic person, really strong, independent woman, as they like to go with that little saying. Gone through her life, all she does is bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship, okay? Bad relationship, one after another after another.
One soul tie after the other. Snip.
Yep. Her mum told her how her dad was this horrible monster, all that sort of thing, and they never had it. They had literally moved countries, everything. All right. Now, that woman in her 60s, early 60s, found out that her dad had just passed away, right? So she never, ever got to talk to him about it. Anyway, but she did go and speak to the relatives. The whole thing was a lie. The whole thing. The man was nothing wrong with the fella, right? Okay. He's not perfect, but okay.
Yeah.
But 60 years of her life being ruined and her having all of these, because she was seeking something, wasn't she? So in these wrong relationships that she's having, she's seeking something.
That's right.
This is so wrong.
That's the soul contract.
No matter how much you hate your spouse, okay, your ex-spouse or whatever, and hate's a strong word, but that's how a lot of people feel, right?
Yep.
How can you hate your children more?
Yeah. See, that's the whole thing, isn't it? They don't realize the damage that they're doing to their kids.
Many do,
but, maybe they do, but it's terrible. I mean, it's, and the kids that do end up growing up and finding out different, Aaron, they end up being quite resentful.
Yeah, but the damage is done.
Parent that
it's
did it.
If you care about your children, you don't do this to your children. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart.
And those kids, if I may bring it into context here, they need to break those soul ties with that parent that is controlling them and controlling their mind and weaponizing them. So when they can release that, and let it go. But again, it comes back to being able to see that broken person, because like everything else, we can stay angry and we can stay that way. But as you know, bitterness, resentment, I mean, we've got to make it transmute into what you're doing, making a stand and creating what you believe in as that true, conviction.
With conviction raises my heart rate, and then the way I speak, right? And then people go, oh, look at that, now that is passion. Right?
Passion,
and I think it's important to have passion in the things you believe in, right? And I think if you don't have passion for your own kids and protecting them and trying to get them the best life they can, then what the hell's wrong with you? Exactly, and in the family court of Western Australia, the family court of Australia, the family court in America, right? That passion, right, normally means that they actually literally give the child to the abusive parent, not the passion is actually seen as something negative. So if you are passionate about the fact that you're protecting your child, they will turn that on you. It is a
bad
fact. And
well, how did Trump win then, with all his passion and conviction? Because, it's the man or the woman that stands with the most certainty, isn't it?
Oh,
so that certainty, when the more stronger you are, the one that's has got more ammo within them.
Yeah, but look, Trump won because, quite frankly, I absolutely understand what you're saying there. But Trump won because people are not idiots. Okay, people know what a woman is. Okay, people know that women. Men should not be in women's sport beating up women, right? It's wrong, right? People know this. People don't want, men with dresses walking into their daughters' change rooms, okay? That's why Trump won, because they're sick of the lunacy of the left, right? People have had enough, and it was our American, their time to stand up, as we need to do in the election next year. We need to stand up against this lunacy and say, enough is enough.
Yeah.
It is our time to slam our fist on the desk and say, no. I'm aware what a woman is, a grown adult female, right? Okay, I've seen them. I like them, right?
I hope we don't go into Facebook jail after this, Aaron.
Oh, we may. It's a lovely place. I spent much time there.
I have spent a lot of time in Facebook jail as well, let me tell you.
We've been very, very
But, this is what you call freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And it all does come back to soul ties and soul contracts, which we were talking about last week. But guess what, guys? It's the contrast, as we said in the beginning, and those bad times that make great people.
Thoroughly agree. I'm going to just throw one question at you, if I may, from one of our lovers. There's a couple here, but we'll see what we can do. I'm going to go quickly. Michael, all the way from LA, the long way away. Now, I want to attract a great partner, but I feel I'm stuck in repeating the same old patterns. How can I use NLP to break free from this cycle and create healthier relationships? I picked this question that's come up.
Good on you.
Because of the fact that it really ties into what we've been talking about.
Yeah, it really, really does. Yeah, so, okay, it's not about the event. So, for example, if you've had a situation happening with your last lover and she ran off with someone else, for example. And then before that, you had another person and they just kind of abandoned you and ran off, or you had another one and they were doing something else. Yep. It's not about the story. The story is not significant in this realm of neuro-linguistic programming, subconscious and soul ties. What matters is the energy behind it. So what I would say to you, Michael, is, what was the feelings that you endured when you were actually feeling what you felt with that partner? So, for example, if you felt deserted, helpless, devastated, traumatized, all of those, negative things, all those bad boys, right? Mm-hmm. What you've got to look at is that's what you're tracking. Now, if you track it 9 times out of 10, and usually 10 times out of 10, you'll find that even though you might have a series of patterns of partners, they all feel the same. They leave you feeling the same way, like like the carpet was pulled from under your feet, or, whatever it was. And you'll even find that you'll be able to tap into a theme.
Okay.
where maybe even other people have done that to you, and it resembles the same thing. So what you've got to do is you've got to look at that, write it down, and look at the energy component of how it made you feel and what that energetically meant for you. And that's once you acknowledge it, so you're recognizing it, that is when you release it. So you say, okay, I release it, but you've got to learn from it, because the learning process is like the 17-year-old in the car. Right. You don't put a 17-year-old in the car and don't teach them how to drive and jump out and say, what, drive now? And they don't know how to drive. You've got to teach them first. They've got to learn, you know, if they're bunny rabbiting, hopping down the road or whatever, or blowing up their gearbox or whatever's happening. They've got to be able to know what they did wrong. They've got to understand what was it that happened here, that we've got to go back to the beginning and go, okay, so this, if I had have done this, this and this, even though, you know, you might say, well, that's rubbish, because even if I went back and changed it, if you change it energetically, well, if I had a lot more assertiveness, if I had a whole lot more boundaries. Or, you know, boundaries, self-empowerment, understanding, wisdom, standing up for myself. Maybe, you know, you let happen in your life what you allow to happen. So if you tolerate something, whatever you tolerate, you'll get more of. So, Michael, it's time to stop. It's time to go back and recognize, release, and revolutionize. And when I say revolutionize, that is where you can say, right, I'm now clearing the slate. Those soul ties that we're talking about, we cut them so that the past is not dictating your future.
All right, out with the scissors.
Out with the scissors,
damn
I
straight,
like that.
Damn straight with that. Dorothy has put through a question. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Okay.
Got a couple of
Sorry,
that we didn't get to. Sorry about that one. But I'll tell you what, we'll handle it next week. What do you reckon?
Why not? Yes,
we'll
let's
deal
do
with
that.
it after this break of about 7 days. Have a wonderful week in the meantime, everyone. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. We have gone way over time, but I'll tell you right now, there's nothing more important than talking about the issues that are important, all right? And there's nothing more important than talking. Communicate. It's so important. Right?
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, absolutely. So
hope we haven't offended too many people out there. We love you. We love you.
I hope we have offended people because it's important to be offended sometimes. Something that may fire people up to make change, right? We can't all agree. We can agree
I'm
to
a
disagree.
peacemaker. I'm a terrible peacemaker. Don't hold that against me.
Oh, I have. It's too late. It's the end of the show. Thank you very much for being part, of course, of
the Genius Zone.
It's Edge Radio Australia.
Thank you for joining us on another empowering episode of our show, where we have explored through this various topic, along with all the exciting new topics that we bring every week to enhance your personal mastery of excellence. Now, I'd love you to do me a favor. In fact, be part of the Legacy 1 million that I have in the vision for 2028. If you know someone who really would benefit from this recording, from this episode, please share it with them. And when you subscribe, you get notified every week of our episode as soon as it drops. So let's do that legacy thing. Let's share, let's care, let's enrich. And I look forward to bringing you another week of the most enriching content. So until next time, stay inspired, stay awesome, and keep on mastering your excellence.